Hey, y'all, I'm Shane Sams. Thanks so much for listening to the Flipped Lifestyle Podcast today. Super excited to have another amazing member of the Flipped Lifestyle community onto the show. And man, do we have a success story for the ages today on the podcast. My guest today is Flipped Lifestyle community member Terry Dunlap. Now, Terry has been on the podcast before. We will have a link to his first episode in the show notes. You may remember him as the hacker turned good. Back in the 80s, Terry actually, or maybe it was the early 90s, I can't remember exactly when it was, Terry got arrested for credit card fraud and computer fraud when he was 17 years old. And that led him into technology. Over the years, Terry started using his, skill set for good. And he started helping the government. He started helping corporations protect themselves from online hackers. Over the years, that led to a career in training other people to protect corporations from hackers. And he was doing all kinds of in-person classes. Then the pandemic hits. Terry transitioned into online teaching, into online instruction, and building communities around what he was doing. Well, on our last podcast, I helped Terry rethink about his pricing structure, rethink about how to tier his membership, how to bundle different packages together. And he was able to turn that into massive growth over the past year. In fact, he grew so fast that he got the attention of Microsoft. And he just made a deal with them to sell his company to them for $20 million. Y'all, you are going to absolutely love this interview. We had a fun time talking about this entire journey, and I know you are going to be inspired when you see what's possible, when you put yourself out into the world, when you keep making the next decision and you don't worry about making the best decision, when you realize that it ain't got to be perfect. It's just got to get done. I know that Terry's story is going to show you what's possible for you and your family on the internet. I'm going to get out of the way. I'm going to let Terry take it away. I'll be back with you right after the interview. Without further ado, here's my interview with the $20 million man, Terry Dunlap.
Welcome to the Flip Lifestyle Podcast, where life always comes before work. We're your hosts, Shane and Jocelyn Sams. We're a real family that figured out how to make our entire living online. And now we help other families do the same. Are you ready to flip your life? All right, let's get started.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Flip Lifestyle Podcast. Now, I am always excited to talk to amazing members of the community who are out there doing amazing things, but I'll be a little honest with you guys. I'm not sure what I'm getting myself into today because we've got this is a massive success story just for business and everything, all kind of rolled up into one that we want to go through. We saw this in the community the other day, and we love celebrating our members' success, but I'm not sure where this is going, and all of your minds are about to get blown away by my guest, Terry Dunlap. What's up, Terry?
Dude, it's been a while, but hey, before we even get started, do we need to preface this and reference the prior interview where I talk about my arrest as a computer hacker?
We definitely need. Yes, we probably should tell everybody a little bit about. Well, hold on. Let's talk. Let's just give them the little. We'll give them the little like the trailer of the movie here, real quick.
Okay.
So just tell everybody what you did with your company over the last little bit, and then we'll go back and we'll tell them what you did about your hacker community, and then we'll start talking about everything. But tell them what we're leading to right now. What just happened in your life?
I just sold my company to Microsoft for in excess of $20 million.
And wrecks happened all over the country as people were listening to this on their commute, on the way to school, on the way to school, on the way to whatever, man. All right, so we're not going to tell you what it is yet. You should be paying attention. But all right, now let's go back. Let's go back to when you were a hacker. We'll give the briefest version of that story. Maybe we'll zoom forward, talk about what the company looked like, and how we got to talk with each other, and then what led to this. Man, it's amazing.
So this is a quick recap. I'm assuming you'll link to the full prior episode in the show notes
100%.
If people want to go back and listen to it.
So
the Cliff Note version, if people remember what Cliff Notes are, is in 1985 at 17 years old, I was arrested for computer hacking. Actually, it was really credit card fraud because there were no laws on the books at the time until the following year. And I used a Commodore 64 and a 300 baud dial-up modem. Got into all kinds of mischief and problems. Go back to the prior episode to really I unload the whole unpack.
Well, we went through the whole thing. It's like Catch Me If You Can, fascinating type stuff here.
Yes. So many, many years later after that, I ended up getting a top secret clearance to work with the U.S. National Security Agency. So depending on your politics and what you read in the news, the NSA is good, the NSA is bad. That's up to you to decide. Regardless, I worked there during the War on Terror. I used my hacking skills to help U.S. Special Forces and the intelligence agencies go out and tag, track, and locate these terrorist targets so they can take them out. That's what I did with my computer skills. Now, specifically how we did that, we focused on what's called embedded firmware, basically what we know today as IoT devices. So everything from your wireless router to your phone to your, Nest thermostat to even your vehicles, they all have embedded firmware. Basically, it's an operating system at a very, very micro level. We got really good at hacking that stuff. So that's what we did at the NSA. But I got kind of bored there, kind of disillusioned with the politics, and started my first company, which was an offensive cyber hacking company catering to the U.S. government.
So now what that means is you would find weaknesses in people's systems, the offensive hacking. Like, so they would hire you to say, hey, you hack us before the other hackers do so that we know where the back doors are and we'll fix them before they ever get here, basically.
Almost right. So it's like we have a target in Russia.
Okay.
And this is the device that the target uses.
Okay.
We need you to find a vulnerability that can be weaponized that we can use to attack that device.
I see. Like they know they've got it, so you figure out how to get to it, basically. So it's in reverse.
Yes.
Yeah, I got you.
Yes. Okay. Yes. So that's the offensive part. So
can I just say that you are the coolest guy I've ever met in my life, by the way? Well, you got this beautiful mane of hair and you're hacking Russians. I mean, this is incredible, Terry. I'm already all in with whatever you're selling. So
I appreciate that.
Yeah, man. All right, carry on. Carry on, my friend.
So we got really good at this. And, the NSA and the other intelligence agencies wanted us to come work for them. And we're only a small team of people. It's like we can't be everywhere all the time. So why don't your people come to us and we'll train them to do what we do? And so we started developing these training classes live and in person.
And this is the first push toward, we'll build a membership, we'll build a community around these courses, all of those things that end up.
Now, and here's the one thing I want to tell everybody right now. From the time I was arrested to the time I sold to Microsoft, none of this was planned. Okay. I didn't start out hacking at 17 with the intent to sell some future company to Microsoft. Okay.
I don't think that's how that works.
You know what I'm saying? Just happens.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
So we started developing these training programs and we would bring people in live, and it was catered primarily to military and intelligence agencies. But I mean, even those people talk. And before you know it, we're getting people in from commercial industry, AT&T, Ford, General Motors, Verizon. You name the company, we probably trained one or two people from that company, General Electric of all people. And I even asked them, I said, what is General Electric doing that you need to understand how we hack things? And they have a plant, I guess, in Kentucky where they actually manufacture internet connected, I believe, refrigerators.
Really?
And so they wanted to understand how the hacker mindset works and what they look for to better build internet connected appliances.
Well, they've got, that's probably true because I just bought a refrigerator like last year because one of ours went out, and we found a refrigerator. We almost got it. I didn't though because it was a little freaky, where you could scan stuff going in, and your refrigerator would tell you when it went bad, or if it was time to buy something new, or if you were like about to run out, like it had like some of the things like weighed it as it laid down, and it could recognize as the gallon of milk was like going away. So like, yeah, I guess that's exactly what they were trying to protect, basically.
Yeah, and all that stuff is run, the brains that operate that give you that cool ability is basically called firmware. And they have to get updates periodically from, the mothership, and it's probably connected to your internet at home somehow, somewhere is my guess. But anyway, the bottom line is we started developing these classes, not only for government intelligence agencies, but then also for commercial industry.
Were those in-person classes or all online?
So
you're going in person and you're teaching these things and you're doing this stuff.
Yep. Yeah. So along with the teaching, we're taking what we know to do by hand in terms of reverse engineering these firmware images and turning them into weapons for the government. we're automating this process very slowly, as much as we can. Over it ends up being like maybe 10 years that we automate this process. So keep in mind here, we got two things going on. We got this automated platform that identifies vulnerabilities in IoT devices and helps us weaponize them. That's track one. Track two is we're trying to train more people like us because there's a short supply of this type of, skill set. So we have the training track over here that is doing phenomenally well.
This is crazy because like it's funny how what we call it the flipped lifestyle blueprint, and of course you've made these courses before that, but like this pattern that I see in almost every single online training teaching style of business is you develop these skills through some nefarious means or not, but you have this skill set that you get right somewhere. You take that skill set and you kind of apply it into a different way. And then you realize that other people want to learn this skill set. So you start teaching this skill set either in live classes or online or like through a membership community. And all of a sudden, you've taken this God-given knowledge and wisdom that you've accumulated, and you've made it into a product that can be consumed by anyone, anywhere, at any time. And like that to me, what you're saying, like people are like computer hacking, this, that, and the other. Like, look, I just talked to a guy who just quit his job and he teaches people how to play guitar. It's the same thing. He had this skill set. He was sitting around and taught himself how to play guitar. He put it into these trainings and these modules and these courses. And then he gets it in front of people and he sees other people learned how to play guitar. And then wouldn't you know it, they start telling other people that he knows how to play guitar. This is the tried and true pattern of how to become an influencer, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, no doubt. And now you got to remember, there was no intent here when I developed these, or I didn't develop them all. I developed one of the classes, then my employees came up with ideas for additional classes.
Right, but you led the charge. You got the bayonet, man. That's
like, right. Let's get out there and let's start training these people, man, because there's not a lot of people like us out there. Let's train the workforce and maybe good things will happen. So again, keep in mind that on the training side, there was no discussion with anybody about doing online training or anything like that at this point. So what we started to notice over time, and I'm sure many of the people in the community noticed this too, is that we start to get inquiries from overseas. Now, remember, ours are live and in person. So we actually have people flying in from Denmark and London and Japan and Australia and Malaysia to take our classes. But obviously, there's a group of people that just can't afford the trip. I mean, These aren't cheap classes. These are classes that are like $2,500, $3,200 a pop for like a 5-day.
And just intensive. The time involved to getting to the other side of the planet is crazy.
Yes, exactly. So I started to recognize there is a whole pocket, a whole community out there that wants to take the class, that is willing to pay for the class, but is having problems with travel because they can't afford the expense of travel. So I said to some of the instructors, I said, what do you think about doing some of this stuff online? Mm-hmm. And of course, we talked about, people are going to steal it and then repost it on YouTube. Because remember, in a lot of cases, we're dealing with hackers like ourselves. Some of them aren't as, ethical as others, but, so we have seen cases where other people's trainings have ended up on the internet for free. And it's like, yeah, we can't have that happen. So what we ended up doing was, okay, how do we tie the training so that make it in such a way online that even if somebody got it illegally or posted it on YouTube, it really wouldn't be as valuable as the live in-person class. And that's when we came up with these hardware kits, because in order to take our class, we would have all the hardware, all the computers, all the IoT devices.
A thing for people to hack, basically.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we had all that stuff there. And it's like, if we're going to do this online, we're going to have to ship this equipment to people. So we had to bake in the cost of actually maintaining a physical inventory of these boxes of all these devices and wires and stuff that we would have to send people. So I felt a little more comfortable that if we put this online and somebody steals it and reposts it, it's not going to be as effective because we have probably 25, 30 labs in just one class. To make sure you understand what you're doing and to get the real benefit of is using the equipment.
That's another good lesson there too, is like, the content the first thing I ever sold was lesson plans to teachers. Well, I hate to tell you this, but if you downloaded all the plans, you had a bunch of PDFs that were all of our lesson plans, and they could have just gave those to their friends. You know what I mean? But there is a layer. You got to add layers to it in some way that do make it more valuable than just a copycat. Like for a lot of people, it's just better service. For some people, it's a physical component. But like that's a really good lesson. Is just like the content is content. Someone can steal your content, guys. I hate to tell you this. Hit record, repost, right? But if you add some layer to it, it makes it infinitely more valuable, and people love you for it because you're the original. So great stuff.
And the thing is about our content. Our content is not proprietary or unique. Anybody can go out there, download a bunch of books, and learn all this stuff on their own, and turn around and record their own type of hacking class. So it's nothing proprietary to us. It's just the way that we package, deliver it, the way the slides are presented, the labs are created, the way that the instructors kind of deliver the material, and then it's
it's the branding, it's the relationship through that, all that people like your stuff, and that's why nobody can be knocked off if you do it right, because you're doing it your way, right? And if you do it your way better, nobody can beat you.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely correct. As soon as we had the first class done, we were getting ready. I was actually getting ready to upload everything to Kajabi. I was planning out the layout and all that kind of stuff. COVID hit.
Oh man.
Yeah. So COVID hit.
So all your live classes were about to get shut down, son. Gone. Right?
Yes. Now here's let me put that in perspective, put that on pause for a second. Let me go back to our automated platform that we were building. So let me back up to 2017. We had the platform completed. We were using it for our customers. I went to a conference that was designed for intelligence community people and investors, and I showcased this particular platform. And we were cornered by investors just before we left. And they said, have you ever thought about using this automated platform to help companies protect people against people like you over in foreign countries? So instead of you going after the foreign adversaries of the U.S., how about you help U.S. companies and others protect their stuff from the Russians, the Iranians, the North Koreans, by showing them where the vulnerabilities are. So when they sell their product, when they come to market with it, it's more secure than it would have been.
Yeah.
And I had no interest in that because, I mean, obviously I'm biased. On the offensive side, if I'm going to hack somebody, I only have to be right one time.
Right.
If you're going to defend yourself against me, you have to be right every time.
Yeah.
And I don't like those odds.
Right.
But money talks. Let's get real, right? So
I can't solve the whole problem, but let's see if we can get 98% of it, and then I'll just go. Yeah.
So the investors painted this great picture of how much money we could make if we actually, use this platform, let's say, for good, and help manufacturers and developers create more secure products. So we took the bait and we said, okay, you're not buying our existing company. We'll create a brand new company, call it Refirm Labs, for reverse engineering firmware, Refirm. And we will take the core team and the technology and spin that out of this existing company and create Refirm Labs. And you investors can put in $1.5 million to get it off the ground. And then me and my partner will own both companies. Yeah. And they said, okay, fine, let's do that. So I'm running two companies now. One's, the training and the government spooky stuff. And now this commercial facing company that is now starting to work with companies like AT&T, Verizon, Netgear, Charter Communications.
This is the training company, right? That's training.
No, this is the new product company.
Oh, I got you. This is the one that to help these companies defend themselves is what this one is.
And now a lot of those customers actually were in our original training classes in Company A, the first company. So they knew what our skill set was, and they're like, oh my God, we don't have to do this stuff by hand anymore. They got this other company that does it automatically for us. That's even better. Let's buy that instead of waste our time trying to do this stuff by hand. So it was great. So that company was moving along. And then you and I talked about during the COVID situation, we're leaving money on the table because even though the classes were online with these hardware components that we would ship to people, we still charge the exact same price as we would in person.
That's right.
Simply because you get the same education, the same outcome, everything's the same, except here's the kicker. You as the student, being the online student, you actually get to keep the equipment.
Yeah. Right.
Whereas if you were a live person, I mean, you're not walking out the door with our equipment. We have to reuse it for the next class. So I realized we were leaving money on the table again because they couldn't afford all of the equipment that was even still low. It was bundled into the price. Some people would say, well, I already have some of the components. I just need to buy this. Can I? So you and I sat down and we came up with all these different scenarios about repricing and structuring and being able to maybe, do like payment plans, send it out, and what would happen if they canceled their credit card before we got full payment. So we worked through that whole scenario. You can go back to that prior episode and talk and hear what Shane and I worked out. So I worked on that for a while, but I took that same mentality over to Refirm Labs, the new company, because here we are now with this subscription product that's in the cloud that our corporate customers are subscribing to, and we're selling it for $72,000 per year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
However, some companies obviously didn't know our background, didn't know who we were, and we wanted to separate the government spooky stuff from this commercial public facing stuff, and we didn't want to mix the two. So they were reluctant to fork over $72,000 for a subscription to something in the cloud that evaluates the security of their stuff as an unknown. We give trials here and there. Sometimes it worked in our favor. Sometimes it didn't. We debrief the customer, figure out what's going on. And then I remembered, it's like, some of the companies that talk to us don't need the full capability of what we have to offer.
See. Yep.
They only need this part, or maybe part A plus part C, but they don't need part B. I wonder if we could bundle this differently.
Tiers and bundles and new packages and everything. So that was it's funny. Isn't it funny how it's all related? You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like you're like, if you just keep that's why masterminds and conversations like that are so important, because you're just trying to, like, even ideas in the one company or the one tier or the one platform apply to the others, and you see it in a different way. And all of a sudden you create a whole new segment or a whole new market or a whole new group of customers. From just conversations like that. So you went to these people and you looked at and you showed them different bundles, different situations where they just got
so what
they
we
needed.
did is we basically took the same product and broke it up into 3 different buckets. Now we have a free open source version of the platform.
Okay.
Anybody today can go out, download it, unpack it. Requires some skill. If you're not computer savvy, you have to understand Linux and the command line and compiling code and all that kind of BS, but it's free.
Yeah.
It will not give you the same output and results as our enterprise product, but you get some value out of it. So a lot of people will play with the free version. Then we realize that there is a group of companies out there that, they're not the Fortune 500. They're kind of small, medium-sized businesses that might have teams of 10 or maybe even 5 people working on a particular project. So we developed a subscription package around that and sold it to those companies for $10,000 a year.
Oh, wow. What a different group of people, 70 to 10, right?
Yes.
I mean, that even that, when you break it down, that's less than $1,000 a month, for some people, so what a great pitch, Yep.
So you have what we call the Teams edition. And then we have the all-you-can-eat Enterprise edition that was still up there, right around $60,000 to $72,000. It was kind of tiered, sliced and diced, depending on and those were catered to like your Fortune 500 companies and stuff. So that's took your idea that was initially for tactical network solutions, the training class, and ended up applying it to my commercial facing company. And dude, I will tell you, we closed more deals under that packaging.
Unbelievable, man.
Than I had when I was trying to sell the all-you-can-eat for $72,000 to everybody.
That's unreal, man. So people just kept taking it. The sales, get on a sales call. I'm in. That sounds good. Let's do it. Let's go.
It's like, they might sign up for a year for the $10,000 plan and then realize, I wish I had this capability, or I could upload more to do more. Well, let me upgrade to the enterprise platform.
And you know what's funny is that like all my conversations are running together, Terry. I've been podcasting since like 10 o'clock this morning. But I had this conversation with someone earlier, and it was this. It's so funny how these themes scale, whether it's a $10 a month or a $10,000 a month membership. Like when you can't put walls around your stuff. Once people see how good your stuff is, of course they're going to upgrade. Of course they're going. So this is almost like even like it's not a trial, but it's like, hey, you get to come in, you get to hang out in the front lobby, you get to do all these benefits, but there's more stuff in the back, and they're there. They're ready to walk through the next door. So you basically just found a bunch of doors into what you do, and they can hang out in the lobby. They can pay their $10,000 a year, or they can move forward. They can pay their $70. Same thing if it's like, hey, try it for 7 days for $7, and then they try the $70. It's the same concept. You're just letting people see how awesome it is. You know?
Yeah. The only difference is my numbers are a little bit bigger.
There's an extra zero or two. That's it, man. You know what I'm saying? Because it's software. Wow, that's amazing. So you start closing all these freaking deals. Everything starts blowing up and going crazy. And then
we grab the attention of Microsoft.
Ah, man.
So let me kind of give you the 30,000 foot view of where Microsoft wants to go. Microsoft wants to become a security company. Okay. They want to become a cloud-based security company. So sure, they still sell Windows and all that kind of stuff, but to them, the cloud is where the money is.
Yeah.
And if they can be the premier security company, that's even, icing on the cake, because you have companies connected to the Microsoft cloud, all this network traffic and telemetry going back and forth that Microsoft has access to. So it should make it easier for them to identify threats and to react to security situations almost instantaneously. So they wanted to become a huge player in this IoT world by protecting IoT devices. So they're I should say they're first, but one of their larger acquisitions was an Israeli company called CyberX. These guys can actually go into an enterprise, a Fortune 500 company, scan the company network, and quickly identify all the IoT devices on the network, which is fantastic because some customers we lost because we did not have that capability. We could tell you what's wrong with your IoT device, whether it's your webcams or your conference phones or your Wi-Fi routers or printers, but you have to tell us first where they are and supply us the firmware.
Gotcha.
So you have Microsoft bought this company that can scan for these devices. They said, okay, well, we can scan for these devices and we can see attacks as they're happening and react, but we want to be preventative. What company out there can help protect on a preventative basis these IoT devices? And so they did their research, and one of the names that topped the list was Refirm Labs.
And this is another thing I was telling somebody earlier today. Action begets action. Success begets success. If you just keep stirring the waters, that's how you get found and noticed. And so you're stirring these waters, you're doing these trainings. People out there start knowing who you are. You have this other company start doing that. And then just these segment changes, these bundle changes, these pricing changes, more people are coming in. That creates buzz so that when you are in the right place, you already put yourself in the right place to be at the right place in the right time. You know what I mean? And then Microsoft finds you, dude.
No, again, I can't emphasize enough how all of this just kind of happened.
Well, hold on. You're going to be humble. I'm not going to let you be humble. Listen, no, the reason it happened is because you kept making the next decision. You didn't try to make the best decision. You just took everything up to that point. And you go, let's do this. Let's do this. Let's do this. And you gave yourself that chance for it, brother. So yeah, it did just keep happening. But man, you kept moving the ball forward. That's why it happened, dude. It's amazing.
Yes. So we get identified by Microsoft. Microsoft approaches us. We think they're interacting with us to become a customer because we're giving them free trials. And then it gets to the point where they want to have more deep dive meetings and adding more people to their trial account, extend the trial for us, extend it for 6 more months. And it's like, what are these? Oh, I bet we're going to become a partner. We're going to become a Microsoft partner. That's what's happening here. And then they wanted to meet with more people of the team and started asking very interesting technical questions where, we were under NDA, but when we walked away from the meeting, it was like, they know enough now that they can go build this on their own and crush us like the bugs that we are.
Yep.
So
cockroaches, as Mr. Wonderful says on Shark Tank, right?
Exactly. So they approached us. I think it was last summer. and said, we are interested in acquiring you. I was like, holy cow.
Wow.
So we do this a song and dance. We do the due diligence and all that kind of stuff. And then here's the kicker. And they've known from the get-go when we started these really deep dive discussions that my co-founder and I own two companies. The company they want to buy and this other company that does this hacking stuff for the government, which is a government contracting company. They've known that for months during these talks. It was about a month and a half before we're ready to go to close. And they asked point blank, the technologies that you guys develop over at that other class or at that other company where you do the training and you do the government contracting, is it possible that some of your government customers could take that technology and target U.S. citizens?
Mm.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, the FBI is one of our customers.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
They're probably targeting U.S. bad people. So
right.
Yes, blanket U.S. people. Yes. They said, well, we can't close this deal if you're going to be involved with that company because we have these ethics at Microsoft that, you can't be involved in hacking. And if something were to be exposed and make the press and connected it back to you as
and then they bought it from you, it would go back to them, basically.
Yes, and make them look bad. So if you want to close on this $20+ million deal in a month and a half, you're going to have to sell that other company.
You're like, good, I'll sell it to you. Deal. Right? It's like, that's not, are you trying to talk me out of it? Because that just sounds like cool. Now I'll just give you that one too for $20 million. Let's go.
I mean, we tried. We said, hey, maybe you guys might want to buy this one.
Yeah,
too.
right.
They just didn't want anything to do with the hacking side of it. They just, because they're, trying to become this,
So did you sell that to somebody else or did you just shut it down or what'd you do?
Nope. So I sold two companies.
Wow, God, this is crazy, Terry. This is so silly, man. We did not talk that long ago, man. This is crazy. It was during the pandemic, for crying out loud. Oh my God, it's amazing.
Now, that one we didn't get as much for it as we wanted. We probably could have.
But you were in a hurry. You kind of had to get rid of it. Yeah.
Probably could have sold it for about 15 million, but I mean, it was a fraction of that. But still, I mean, we were able to sell two companies.
Bro,
as we're
that is definitely one of the craziest. I want to stress to everybody, this is less than a year. This is happening. The pandemic was going on, and we're recording this in July. And it just goes to show you how crazy life can get when you keep taking action, when you keep talking, when you keep trying new things. And here's what's so funny, man. I have people that sell memberships from everything from like $1,000 a month to $70 a month. I mean, all sorts of stuff. And I hear you say things like, 70,000 a year, 10,000 a year, but it's like, yeah, we tried a free trial with that kind of price. You're like, yeah, we tried some new bundles, some new segments, try to add a couple tiers here and there. And it's like, it's so funny how all these subscription models and the business principles that we preach here are the same. It's just all the same. It's just, get new ideas, take action, try new things, let people see what you can do for free and prove it's awesome. Always be open for the conversation of whoever calls. Hey, Microsoft, what do you want? Right. And like,
exactly.
and you just keep running the football and you look up Microsoft has your company and you got $20 million. All right. I got to ask you some questions. Okay. I got to ask some follow-up questions. Okay. First of all, man, congratulations, brother. Proud of you, dude. I love it when people do good, man. And this made my soul sing when I heard that, man. And I'm glad to be 1.1% of this. I'm happy to be a part of it, dude.
I was just going to say, what would have happened? Who knows? But what would have happened had we not talked in the past about different membership bundling options for the training company?
Yeah.
And had I not had that knowledge to transfer over to Reform Labs when we were losing customers because of the pricing and try and come up with something new. Maybe I would have come up with something completely different, but the fact that we had that conversation, it's like, well, how can I apply that over here? Because this is the most urgent need. So let's figure this out. And here we are.
Oh, man. And that to me, man, I tell you what, that screams to me when I hear you say that. And it's something that we live and die by. That's just the power of community. That's not me or you being super geniuses. We've talked off air. We both know that ain't true.
Yep.
We're just out here doing what we do. You know what I mean? Right? Like, and everybody's listening in like, ooh, what are they going to say next? And I'm like, we don't even know what we're going to say next, people, you know? But like it's why everything we do is so based on community in our business, because it's like fellowship, talking, hashing through things, talking about one thing, applying it to another. That there's just gold there, and that's where every great thing comes from, man. And it's awesome stuff, dude. I appreciate that. I do appreciate the. I'll take my humble hat off for a little while. Okay, so like I've had a much smaller scale version of this happen to me. Me and Jocelyn, when we sold our company in 2017, it was on a contract for 1.1 million. You know, we got a ton of it in cash, like a ridiculous amount in cash. That was life changing. I was a school teacher in Southeast Kentucky, man. I made $30,000 a year, you know, and like it was weird. It was just so weird, man. At that point, you know, to do that, like how weird was it? When you're like the deal's done and then when the money hits the bank account, that's the day you know it's over with or whatever, you know, you get paid the first part, right? Because you know that you sign the contract and you're like, are they going to give me the money? And you're waiting for like a few days. But like, how does it? That's an astronomical amount of money, bro. That's incredible. Like, so like, well, how does that feel?
Let me say this. Let me say this first. Me and my partner did not split the 20 million. Okay, you know what it was north of that, but we didn't split. So we had. Not only did we have me and my partner, we had the original investors. We had to raise even more money, you know, after.
I totally get that. So, You didn't Terry didn't pocket 20 mil. I know what you're saying, but that is a massive exit. That is a really cool exit, you know? So I mean, you're getting a chunk of change, you know what I mean? It's still life-changing money, of course, for everybody.
Yes. But yes, you are right. So there is that moment when you wake up the next day, the escrow service says, you know, we're going to wire the money to the account on this day, and you're logging into your Fidelity account.
Hit refresh every time. You know what I mean?
And then it appeared, and it was like, actually, for an instant, it's like, oh my God, look at the number. But then it was like gone because it was so like anticlimactic because the discussions had been going on, the legal stuff had been going on, papers had been docu-signed for weeks. There's been additional follow-up meetings, and everything was. You know, since we didn't do any of this in person, it was all, you know, via email and Zoom meetings.
It's super surreal, man. When that,
it is. It is. And so it's like, I looked at my wife, it's like, well, it's over. Now I have to go work for Microsoft for 2 years.
Right, exactly. Yeah. We had a 90-day clause and Jocelyn was like, crud. There you go. I'll tell you another moment that happened to me. We were, so we lived in this house I'm actually sitting in right now. It was our office now. It's like our headquarters. So we've got like, the living room is like our conference table, and there's a print room, and then my little, whatever you call this, studio or whatever, where I record these podcasts. And we actually, when we sold the business, we're like, we're walking right down to the bank and we're paying this house off right now. Like we're going to write a check and we're going to do it. And I was like, you know, growing up, you're like, man, when you pay your house off, that's the ultimate achievement in life. I mean, you've done it. You don't have a mortgage if you don't want one, and you're good, you know? So we walked in, I had the cashier's check ready to go. And I was just like waiting to slide it over. I'm like, this has got to be a big deal. Like this can't happen all the time. I was waiting for streamers and party I thought they had a special like cabinet with donuts in them just for moments like this. And they brought them out and gave you some donuts or something. Right. And I literally we handed the check over. She printed a receipt, handed it to me, and looked behind me and went, next. It was the most anticlimactic thing ever. And I was just like, okay, that's the game, huh? It's just the next objective, man. You just got to, and like, that's it. You do have that weird feeling of like, all right, now we got to service the contract, turn it over to them. And what am I going to do with my life at that point? Like the numbers don't matter at that point, because you still got to figure out what you're going to do next. That's all it is, man. That's actually when I came up with my saying. I have a saying that I have I tell people all the time now, like they try to come up with like, what's the best thing to do? And I'm like, it's not the best decision. It's the next decision. And that's what I got out of that whole experience was like, all right, man, the whole game is just what's next? Let's go.
Next.
Yeah, she did. And she looked at me and went, next. So, all right. So you look at your wife and you're like, okay, we got to finish out Microsoft. Do you have a non-compete, or can you go ahead and start something else if you wanted to, or what can you do?
Well, we can't create a new firmware analysis company. So that's for sure. But we're free to do other things that don't compete with Microsoft products in general. So I can't go out and build the next Windows or anything like that.
Yeah, you can't start a cloud storage thing. Or
yeah.
whatever.
I mean, I honestly, I'm really getting tired of the high tech stuff. The hacking,
man.
the security, because I've been doing this crap since, before I got arrested at 17. I mean, I've always been in front of a computer, and honestly, I kind of have the itch to kind of want to go off the grid for a little bit and just disconnect from everything.
I agree, dude.
Look at all that.
What do you, so let me ask you this, because we're about to start another membership here is what we're going to do here. But like, what do you love to do outside of tech? Like, what are your hobbies and passions and stuff like that? Like, do you think about those things? Like,
I got two. I like to go backcountry camping. I've hiked sections of the Appalachian Trail. I've gone, into the woods and just, pitch a tent in a bare spot and just, hang out there for a while. I really like, getting away from everybody. I mean, that's the best part, because even if I was connected, once you get so far off the trail, you lose all cell reception. So
yeah, they can't find you then.
You're forced to disconnect. Yeah,
that's right.
Now the other thing, this is so low tech. It's unbelievable. I've gotten into this habit of like fixing lawnmower engines.
No, I was not. Of all the things I could have guessed, man, I wasn't expecting you to say that, dude. But like just fixing engines, basically. Yeah, that's awesome, dude.
Yeah, I just don't know what it is. I have like 2 lawnmowers out in the garage now that need to be fixed.
That sounds like a YouTube channel right there, man.
There's a lot of people out there.
The world's most famous lawn mowing fixing guy, right? You can't work on Microsoft lawnmowers if they ever come out with their AI lawnmower, because you have to non-compete, man. Dude, that's crazy. That's what you ought to do, though, man. Like, I've been really watching a lot of our people, man, like go into these hobby and passion niches. And I just think the way the world's going with AI technology, a lot of things are going to get replaced over the next 15 years or so. People's jobs, people's careers that will not exist, soon. I think that's where a lot of people are going to find a lot of success serving others is de-stressing, relaxation, helping people to break free of those modern conveniences. I think there's a lot of wiggle room there, man. So you might find, some cool way to lead and do some things like that in those spaces that you love now, because you've got that big payout, So 2 years, is that what you said you got on the contract?
Yep. So they held back a portion of the total payout. And,
which is hey, let's talk about that real quick, because I think people would like to hear about this, because like talk and maybe you don't have to go into a lot of details, but like how what did you learn about the structuring of the deal? Like, what were some of the interesting things? Like, for one, people are like, wait, you sold your company, why are you working for them? Right? Like, let's go through some different things that we learned about selling businesses,
Yeah. So one of the things, and in retrospect, I understand it. It makes sense. Now, our company was very small. I mean, it was 7 people, and they're basically buying the people and the knowledge, because they're going to take our existing platform and basically rewrite it in the Microsoft style and put it in the cloud. So they wanted to make sure that everybody would come on board. So of course they give you a sweet employment offer. All the employees got sweet employment offers and stock awards and all that kind of stuff. Just so like they
don't want to lose, when you sell something at a big level, they don't want to lose the people coming in. So that's the first thing. And also too, you probably want to take care of your people. You don't want to just turn it loose and let them go.
Yeah.
So, all right. So that's cool. That's interesting.
So in order to maintain team cohesion, the CEO and me and the other founder, we were locked in for 2 years. Okay. And it makes sense, because, you don't want the team to disband. I mean, I've read the stories where, Fortune 500 company buys small startup and the founders take their money and take off and leave. And then within a year, the whole team ends up,
falls apart. And falls apart.
Gone. And then it's like, what did this big company end up buying? Nothing in the end. So I think, they've learned their lessons. So yeah, I'm locked up for 2 years. Now I can leave, but as part of the enticement, they hold back what they call the consideration, the payout.
Yep.
They kept a chunk of it back, and if you're there for 12 months, they will release 50% of it from escrow. And if you stay the full 24 months, they'll release the rest of it at the end of that time.
So you are financially incentivized to hang around, work with them, and make sure that everything, that way by that point, they can transition totally over time and it doesn't disrupt anything, basically.
Yes. Yes.
Interesting.
That way they hopefully get to see some type of return on their investment as the product gets assimilated in the Azure cloud and all that kind of stuff.
Cool.
So that was kind of a shock to me because I wasn't expecting that, the companies they actually wanted to keep back a significantly larger portion than we ultimately agreed to. So our law firm argued back saying what you're asking for is out of industry norms. This is more like it. So we kind of met in the middle somewhere, and it's like both sides walked away grumpy. So it was a good compromise.
That's a good deal. That's always a good deal. Yeah. We
Exactly.
actually, I think we could have actually sold elementarylibrarian.com for a little more. We actually had some offers that were interestingly structured that were more than what we sold it for, but those all required us to stay on longer. And it's a weird thing when you're sitting there talking about the money and stuff, because our goal was to get to Flipped Lifestyle and only focus on it. So those structures of like 90 days versus 1 year versus 2 years, like that's an interesting part of the negotiation when you sell a business, because you're sitting there like, I want this gone. And I want the money and I want my time back. And but then you're like, nah, but that's not exactly how I think people think it's like a yard sale. Like, hey, well, they bought a business. How about that? No, it is way more integrated for at least the short term whenever you do let go of something like that. Also, too, here's what got us, Terry, and I want to see what you feel about this. You probably haven't seen it yet because it's just happened in the near recent past. It's hard to turn the reins over to your baby. It's hard to see some, because that sooner or later, decisions you would not have made are going to get made about that business, whether it's deconstructed, changed, resold. So how does that feel? The emotional part of it right now,
I have to be honest with you. I don't have that connection to either one of the companies. I don't know why that is. I know a lot of, you watch Shark Tank and all the other shows, and they're like, we're going to give you X amount of money for this much of a percentage. And they're like, I don't know about that. I'm thinking, do it, man.
I know, right? Yeah, right.
And
what about your partners? Were they upset about it? Were your partners were like,
no.
Cool.
No, not at all. In fact,
I maybe I didn't sell mine for enough. That's why I didn't feel it yet. maybe it's because you had that extra zero on your sale that I had. That's why I was a little more emotionally attached.
But I mean, I look at the training company and the product company, the offensive spooky one. We sold that, and as soon as we inked the deal, I already had I'm no longer with the company as my autoresponder on the email. I mean, it was just like I cut ties, and it was done, because I don't know. It's like I've taken it to where I could have taken it over, those 10, 12, whatever years. Let somebody else take it and do what they can with it. Maybe they'll do something better. Call. Now, granted, we do have a clause in that sale because it's an installment sale. The person who bought it couldn't afford, even though it was a smaller price compared to say 15 million,
which is another common thing that happens. Like, a lot of people think that when they see these sales for like 10 million or 5 million or whatever, like that's a common thing too. Like payments and, earned buyouts or earnouts, where like the company has to continue to perform at a certain rate to get so much out. They don't just give you the whole amount up front when you sell a business. Right. So,
yeah. No, well, I mean, in Microsoft's case, yes.
Well, right. Microsoft that can do it. Other people don't usually do that.
Yeah. So we're on the installment sale program, and there is a clause in there that says if the revenue dips below a certain percentage, we have the right to buy it back.
Oh, interesting.
So we can go back and take over the company at a significantly reduced investment if we have to buy it back. But I think it's in good hands. It's gonna be fine, and I expect that we'll end up seeing our full payout over the next 5 years or whatever it happens to be.
Fascinating.
But I'll tell you, I'm very bitter about Microsoft forcing me to sell that other company, because I mean,
you weren't done with it yet, maybe, right?
I wasn't done, and it made consistent money over time. It was always from the first day, it was always profitable. The very first distribution I ever took from that company, I did exactly what you did. I went down to the bank, wrote a check, and paid off the house. My experience was a little bit better because they said, congratulations on paying off your mortgage. And then they said next.
Right. Right. Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's amazing, dude. Yeah, I can see that. I can definitely see that. But it's kind of like, man, those are the decisions, it's like, that's that. So you wanted to be an entrepreneur moment, right? Like, you get paid the big bucks when you make the big calls. And sometimes you do have to make sacrifices to make sure that, you win, the investors win, your partners win, your people win, Microsoft wins, right? And that's just the call but those skills will translate, man. Like, we back in 2018 and 2019, we hosted we started having live events, right? We're like Flip Your Life Live.
Right.
And, and we learned so much about the industry, how to lead, how to sell 100, 200 tickets, how to get people in the room, get them to take action. And after the pandemic, of course, we couldn't have a live event last year. Like, thank God we didn't sign any contracts with hotels, because they would have never given it. We heard so many horror stories about people not getting their money back, on those room rates and stuff. But, we just this year had this opportunity come up where we are now partnering with a live event company. That's why I'm speaking on stages. That's why we're having workshops in different cities around the country. Like, we're going to Tampa over the next couple of weeks to hold workshops. And those skills of me running my own events and you doing like those trainings, that eventually the clarity can't come now. You can't just sit and you got to get out on that tent in the middle of the woods and think about this one, right? But all those skills, you're just going to be able to like, oh, but I could just do this. And it'll be like easy snap to go. And so even though you weren't quite done with that company, all that skills are going to get put into something later. And it's going to happen so much amazingly faster because you just have all those skills and you'll be doing something maybe you're even more passionate about. You know what I mean?
I hope so. I hope so.
What'd your wife say? What'd your wife say when you told her yourself it was going through?
I mean, it was kind of surreal. But now that, she's seeing the fidelity count on a daily basis, so she's like, why am I working?
And then like, do you still have your parents? Are they still with us? You still
my mom is. My dad passed actually during COVID in October.
Oh, sorry, man. I hated to even ask that, but I was just trying to ask, like, what did your mom think? You know what I'm saying? Like, Mom, aren't you glad I was a hacker?
My mom is clueless.
Aren't you glad I got arrested?
She's clueless about. Oh, absolutely
right,
clueless.
Right.
Has no idea. I don't even know if she knows who Microsoft is. It's like,
I was just there thinking, my mom could barely use the mouse. So like, your mom probably is like, oh, good job, honey. You sold something. Yeah. That's great.
Oh, did you sell your company? That's good. What are you going to do next?
Oh, it's amazing, man. Awesome stuff, dude. Well, listen, dude.
I'm not even going to try.
We could talk for hours, man. I love hanging out with you and hanging out and talking. And man, I'm just so proud of you, dude. And man, I'm so grateful that you let us know what was going on and that you came in the community and inspired everybody. And I'm just always so amazed at what is possible when you just be consistent and prolific and relentless and keep taking that next step, even if you don't have a plan, even if you don't know what it's going. And I will forever hold you up as an example, man, of what is possible when you just keep doing it, man. You just keep doing it. So that's awesome. Terry, man, you're a great guy, man. I appreciate you.
All right, man. I appreciate it.
All right, y'all. That wraps up my interview with Flipped Lifestyle community member Terry Dunlap. Wow, guys, I'm just overwhelmed with possibility. I am overwhelmed with opportunity, man. I am so happy when I hear other people succeed. You know why? Not only is it amazing for them and I'm happy that they are going to find their joy, but it also pumps me up, man. It tells me what's possible if you just keep going, if you just keep doing the things. I mean, you heard Terry say he had no plan. He just kept doing it, the next thing. He just kept taking the next action. He kept applying what he learned in one area of his business to other parts of his business. And that made amazing things happen in his life and in his family's future. Y'all, I just talked to Terry on this podcast less than a year ago. It's so encouraging to think that we are all one decision, 1 year, one deal away from amazing abundance, awesome prosperity, and doing great things that help not just us, not just our family, but all the people around us. The people that work for Terry, their life is never going to be the same. Their kids' lives are never going to be the same. And it's all because he, as an entrepreneur, had the courage to go out there and build something in the world, even when he didn't know what he was doing. He had the courage to reach out for help When he talked to me on the podcast, he said, Shane, what do I do about these bundles? What do I do about these prices? And even when he was afraid, he went out and did it anyway. And that led to an amazing payday. Man, I absolutely love success stories just like Terry's. And we would love to help you write a success story of your own. All you have to do is take your next steps. We believe your next step should be joining the Flipped Lifestyle community so that you can get access to our entire training program, all of our community forums and areas, so you can come hang out with us on live Q&As. Heck, so you can have a chance to be on this podcast someday. You can get started for free right now over at flippedlifestyle.com/free. And you can take advantage of our online business quick start membership. We're going to help you find and use your God-given talents to come up with an idea for an online business. We're going to help you take those first steps toward getting it online. And we're going to help you overcome all the mindset obstacles, fears, anything that's holding you back so that you can build a better future for your family. Head over to flippedlifestyle.com/free and get started today. All right, y'all. Now, before I go, I always like to share a Bible verse at the end of the Flipped Lifestyle podcast. My wife, Jocelyn, and I get a lot of our inspiration and motivation from the Bible, and we love to share the wisdom that we find with you. And I'm going to be sharing one of my favorite Bible verses in the entire book today. It's Ecclesiastes chapter 11, verse 6. And I think this verse goes right in line with Terry's story. Ecclesiastes chapter 11, verse 6 says, "Plant your seed in the morning and keep busy all afternoon, for you don't know if profit will come from one activity or another, or maybe both." Guys, that's what Terry did, man. He said, I didn't know what was going to happen next. I didn't have a grant plan for all this. I just kept planting my seeds. I would plant my seeds over here in this company. I would plant my seeds over here in this company. I would learn something for this company and I would apply it to the other company. And I just kept doing that over and over again until $20 million of profit came back. And that's what we all have to do. We all have to keep taking the next steps. We all have to keep planting those seeds. We all have to keep taking action, and we all have to keep trying until that great future appears for our family. That's our hope for you. That's our message for you right here on the Flipped Lifestyle podcast. Y'all keep planting seeds. Keep taking action. You don't know what's going to work. That's why you got to keep trying new things over and over again. And you know that we are going to be here to help you do it every single week. So thank you guys so much for listening to the Flipped Lifestyle podcast today. I hope it inspired you and encouraged you to get out there and make something happen for you and your family. I'll be back with you again next time. But until then, get out there. Don't just listen to the podcast. Take action. Do whatever it takes to flip your life. We'll see you then.